Welcome to episode 61 of Pera's Playbook. Today I'm joined by former NFL wide receiver Dez White, former third-round draft pick by the Bears, also played for the Falcons over 5 years, 85 games, over 2,000 yards and 11 TDs. Dez, thanks for jumping on the pod. How's it going on this Wednesday afternoon?
Not too bad, man. Good week, man. Any day is a
Yeah,
good day, man. Still
yeah.
living.
Hey, it's good to have a positive attitude. There's so much negativity in the world. You got to be positive.
That's right, man. That's right.
Before we dive into your career, just kind of curious, who was your idol, your kind of influence when you were a young football player? Was there a specific player that really, you really, kind of liked their game or what they were about?
Oh man. I had an uncle. His name is Adrian White. He played University of Florida. He played 9 years in the NFL, and he was kind of a father figure to me. And watching him, plays All American at University of Florida. He was on the '90 Giants team that won the Super Bowl, and I got to go up to training camp and see all those guys, LT and Phil Simms and Dave Meggett. Man, I used to love Dave Meggett for some reason, but yeah, man, those are my guys, man. I would say probably, I think growing up, my favorite player outside of him was maybe Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
Like watching Emmett play, and so yeah, man.
So how old were you at the time that your uncle was playing in the league?
I think I was 9. I
Okay.
was 9 or 10 years old, and he was just talking to me about this the other day. How proud he is that he brought me up there when I was little. He still has the picture of me wearing his Giants helmet with my little head in his big helmet, sitting at a table, and um, almost 10 years later, 12 years later, I'm actually on the NFL roster. So that's a very proud moment for him because he was instrumental in kind of helping me develop as a young man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm sure he feels very good about that. And of course, you as a 9-year-old, when your uncle, that of course you're going to want to be like him. You see where he's at, and it's going to help drive you to work harder and try to get there, which you obviously did.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely, man.
you played your college ball at Georgia Tech. And I
Yeah.
know recruiting was a lot different than it is now. Now the recruiting game, it's a whole different animal. So what was, kind of your recruiting process like back then?
I mean, I would say mostly it's pretty much the same. They roll out the red carpet for everybody.
Yeah.
Only, then, these guys now are looking for NIL deals. They're like, show me the money now.
Right.
We didn't have that as an option then. But you go to every school and they're gonna roll out the red carpet and make you feel special, and they're gonna talk to you like, you're gonna meet with your whatever offensive or defensive coach that you're gonna see, and they're gonna tell you how you fit into the game plan and how you're gonna, they'll even maybe put up a depth chart with you on it and make you feel like you're going to show up there on day one and be starting. And for most guys, that's just not the case, man. You get there and you're at the bottom of the totem pole. You got to work your way up. So, I can remember going to Ohio State because I initially committed to Ohio State, and I went during summer camp, and they put your name up on their. They take you out on the field, in the horseshoe, I think they call it, and they put your name up on the big jumbotron and make you feel all special, man. It gets your eyes all big, and so they make you feel super special, man. But you don't know. You're just a deer-eyed young kid, and now you're coming from the small town. Your name's up on this big billboard that you see on TV. But when you get there, man, it's, hey, carry these pads. Carry carry out classmen's pads, and show up early and for all the meetings and get yelled at, and you don't know the plays, so you basically get mauled pretty much your first few weeks there because you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. So what made you switch from Ohio State to Georgia Tech?
Honestly, man, it was too cold, man. Like seriously, man, I went up there for a summer camp. I have family there. I was actually born in Ohio. I went up for a summer camp and then went to spend time with my family. I went to their camp and they weren't really recruiting me at the time. But after I left that camp, they were after me hard, and I was like, there was a guy named David Priestley. There was a quarterback, and we just kind of bonded, and so we both committed to go there. And this was summertime. I'd never been. I was born in Ohio, but I'd never been there in the wintertime. So I committed to Ohio State. So I went. I went back for an official visit, like right after the New Year in January of '97, and it was 3 feet of snow. I'm looking out the plane window, like, how do people survive in this? I grew up in Florida, right? So I've never seen
Yeah.
snow. Definitely not snow that you can like have, get lost in. And we get out the plane. They take us on a limo to the university. We pass by this bank, and it said -13, and that's when I knew I could not, I could not survive. I went through the motions for that whole recruiting visit, knowing that as soon as I got home, I was going to change to somewhere else. I didn't know where. I was just going to call everywhere that I could, so that I did not have to go anywhere north, maybe like North Carolina. So I had Duke on my list. Had I think it came down because it was Ohio State, Georgia Tech, Duke. I thought about Syracuse, but they played indoors, so I would have considered it. But that snow was not working for me.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny you say that because I'm from Michigan, growing up in Michigan my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm just used to snow and cold. I wouldn't say I love it, but like, you just kind of get used to it eventually. But coming from no snow, I get it. You're not used to that. You don't want to deal. So you had to love it, and we'll talk about your NFL career a little bit later. But you had to have loved when you got drafted by Chicago.
So I had it coming anyway, right?
Yeah,
So it was, yeah, I had it coming.
yeah,
But I'll take, my years at Tech over, freezing, and we had a good time, and it was mostly warm. We had some cold days, but it was mostly warm. I don't have any regrets, man. I think I made a decision that was best for me at the time, and it worked out for me.
yeah. Well, it's always good when you can look back and be happy with your choices that you made.
Yeah.
One of your best years at Tech was the '98 season. You guys were co-ACC champs. You beat Notre Dame and in the Gator Bowl. That had to have been a pretty exhilarating year to be a part of.
It was, man. We were very much a team that a lot of people were unsure about. That was my first year starting. We lost two seniors, and Harvey Middleton and Derek Stegall, that were great tech receivers. And so the question mark for the team was, hey, what are these receivers going to do? Because we had nobody that had any nothing proven whatsoever. And so we're just kind of, hey, we're just gonna go out there and play hard and see what happens. And I guess we went out and we started winning some games. We lost our first game against Boston College, and then we got on a roll. And my coming out party was I think it was a Thursday night a game against North Carolina. They had all the big guys, Dre Bly and a bunch of guys that would go end up going in the first round NFL draft. And we beat those guys on their home field, and had a big game that game, and that kind of really boosted my confidence. And then from there, me and Joe had a camaraderie and a bond, and a rapport with each other that we kind of knew that nobody was going to stop us. Especially once we got to the end of the game, and we just were able to build on that. We got thumped by Florida State that year, so it's kind of it's bittersweet saying co-ACC champions because they beat the brakes off us that year, because essentially they came into the game saying, okay, we got to stop Dez and stop the run, and they were able to do that. So we had no answer for that at the time, but we got them back next year though. As far as offense, they won the game, but it was close. But we put up almost 500 yards of offense on them. So that next year we ran them up and down the field.
Yeah. Were you just back at Georgia Tech this year with your teammates from that season, that '98 season?
Yeah. They had a little celebration on the field for us guys. We got to hold up our old Gator Bowl trophy, which I have an MVP trophy at my house, and we just got to see some of the guys I haven't seen in decades, and then some guys a little thick around the waistline. Tom has provided them with plenty of hamburgers and chicken wings. But it was good, man, to see a lot of guys I hadn't seen in a long time.
Yeah. Are you still big Georgia Tech supporter?
Man, you know what? I'm probably the worst um, former athlete fan there is because I'm just I'm not. I mean, I've probably been to maybe 3 games and 4 maybe, and all of those have been invite. Like I don't just get up and say, "Hey, I'm going to a Tech game." Now I'm going to now. Now that because the head coach now is Brent Key. I play with him, so I'm definitely going to go and be supportive of him because he's gonna turn the program around for sure. But I'm not a good fan, man. I'm not a good fan.
It was already a big year, stepping, building block year for turning the program around. I mean, making a bowl game and that. How about that Miami win? And
Yeah, yeah.
that was
Hey, that was a
crazy.
gift. Hey, sometimes you get a gift, man, and you got to take it.
Yeah.
You just got to be ready for the opportunity. There was a sign. I think it was in my high school or college gym. It said, "Luck is where preparation meets opportunity." So there was an opportunity there. They
Yeah.
made a mistake, and our guys capitalized on it, and they stole a game away from them.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be able to once you're given an opportunity, because you're not given that many, you
Right.
got to make the best use out of them, and they definitely did. That's going to go down as one of the craziest endings in college football.
For sure. For sure.
So NFL draft, like before the draft, did you have any idea where you were going? I mean, there's always a lot of talk and combines talking to teams, and you hear the media and all this stuff. But did you have a good idea of kind of where you were going to end up, or did you go in really not knowing?
No, my projection was anywhere from first to third round, just kind of depended on, teams and preference in terms of, their type of guys. Because, certain teams and, everybody didn't have big wide receivers back then. So, some teams like smaller, shiftier wide receivers. So it just kind of depended. You talk to every team convinces you that they're going to take you with the first pick they got. So they're like, hey, no, you're gonna be off the board by the time we get to you. So you think every team's gonna draft you, and everybody kind of blows. It's like the college recruiting thing all over again. But it was a little bit of a long day because I thought I would go earlier than I ended up going. But at the end of the day, man, I was just happy to have a place to go and play. I knew it was gonna be cold, so I knew I had some adjusting to do in that regard, but. I was just happy, man, to get that phone call from Dick Duran.
Did you have a big party with like family and friends and stuff?
I did. I did. It was at my grandparents' house, and we had a lot of people there. Our local news, a small town, Orange Park, just outside of Jacksonville, Florida. So we had our local newspaper there, and we had a bunch of family and friends there, and it was a good time.
So after the draft, after you get that phone call, I mean, what are the following steps? Did you head to Chicago the next day, or how did that kind of all shake out then?
So the weekend after the draft, then it was rookie mini camp. So they'd have the draft one week, and then the following weekend was your mini camp. So you get there probably a day or two before the rookie mini camp, kind of get acclimated. They put you in a hotel, and basically you just go and you dive into the playbook. And literally, like you got a couple hours meeting where you're learning plays, and then immediately you go out to the field and you're having to try to figure those things out on the fly with all new players because it's all rookies and maybe like guys that they signed during the offseason trying to learn the ins and outs of what's going on. And so everything's coming at you like a million miles an hour, but it's similar to the college scene where you get there, you learn all the plays, but in this case, like you're the only people there. So when you're in college, you got the upperclassmen, you can kind of follow what they're doing. But when you're, at a rookie mini camp, there's no veteran guys there, so it's just you, and you got to know the plays immediately. So you're gonna run the wrong direction several times the first couple of days or that first weekend. But ultimately, you're just excited to be out there in the NFL environment.
I guess the one good thing is maybe you're all in the same boat. All the rookies are kind of thrown into the same fire, so the
Yeah,
odds are is
exactly.
everyone's going to be making mistakes, not just you,
Oh yeah,
right?
everybody's getting yelled at the whole time. Like it's like they're like, oh no, you gotta go here. You're wrong coverage. You gotta jam. You gotta press. You gotta run the out route instead of a go. So everybody's screwing up everything pretty much the whole weekend. But they try to make it look like it's a legitimate practice.
Yeah. A little bit of a circus, guys running around like headless chickens or
Yeah, for sure.
So is there any coach or player, veteran player that really helped you your rookie year kind of acclimate to the NFL?
For me, my rookie year, we had Bobby Ingram and Marcus Robinson. Those guys were consummate professionals, and they were really, really good. And so, I just kind of patterned myself after them. I was quiet; I wouldn't say a lot. I'd ask questions every now and then, but they were good about, hey, Rook, you're in the wrong spot. And so, you're still going to be asking questions up and through training camp. You're going to go out there and you're going to be thinking about, okay, what's the coverage? What do I do on this? And then you're going to forget what the play was. And so, so on your way from the time the quarterback calls it to the time you line up, you forgot exactly what the play was totally because you're thinking about everything else you have to do. And those guys were good about helping us out. You get some places and guys they'll look at you and they will ignore you completely, especially if they think you're coming for their for their job. They will ignore you, man. It's cutthroat out there. Guys are just trying to earn a living. So, but those guys were really good. We always had a good close bond in the receiver room. So, there's no animosity or beef or anything like that. So I just kind of followed those guys and what they were doing.
That'd be tough to be thrown into a situation where you kind of have some guys that want to be more distant and don't really help you out.
I can't imagine, man. Fortunately, I did not have to do that. We had nice guys, but I've heard stories. I got friends, that have played, and they'll go places, and you forget something. You need a guy to help you out, just kind of tell you what's going on, and they won't do it. And so you go out there and you look like an idiot. You just go out there and you're just in the wrong place entirely. You have no. It's like you think you're run blocking and it's a pass play. So there's guys out there, man, but it's a big business.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of money involved. So with that comes people just trying to survive, man. It's survival of the fittest out there, and guys just trying to keep a job so they can take care of their families.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's people can try to sugarcoat it all they want, but that at the end of the day, it is a business. It's
It is.
entertainment.
Exactly.
It's all.
Yeah.
So, what about your first NFL touchdown? I mean, that obviously an exciting moment for everybody's career. I mean, do you remember yours pretty vividly?
I do, man. It was a night game. I believe it was Monday night. We were playing the Vikings. And this is when they had Moss and Chris Carter, and so it was televised, and everybody's watching. And so they throw me a screen pass, and we were close to the red zone. I'm not sure if we were all the way in the red zone. And threw me a screen pass, and I juked a couple guys and ran in for the touchdown. And it was pretty exciting, man. This is my rookie season, and after that, my phone's blowing up with everybody calling me, and so that was cool, man. It's cool to get that first touchdown.
Right, and then you get the monkey off your back, a little bit less pressure because you got
For
the
sure.
first one. It's
Yeah,
always the toughest one to get.
it is, man. So then you get it. You don't have to think about it. You just got it out the way, and now you can keep on moving. I had a couple called back that year. One against I think it was New Orleans. Um, Cade McNown just threw the ball up into a crowd, and I just jumped up and came down with it, and I was super happy about that one. And I got called back because our center was like half a step over the line of scrimmage. So Olin, he was like half a step over the line of scrimmage. He came and apologized to me, but it was like it is what it is.
Right, yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? There's nothing. It's over. It's done. You
Just
can't.
water under the bridge, man. You just got to keep.
Yeah. So 2002 was probably the best season of your career. You started 14 out of 16 games. You had 656 yards and 4 TDs. What do you think was different about that year, kind of looking back at your career compared to your other years?
Um, to be honest, we I would say probably my second year was still kind of a development year. Keep in mind, when I was in high school, I played primarily corner and safety, and I made the position switch, once I got to college. And so I had basically 3 years of trying to be a wide receiver, learning from Ralph Friedgen, who's an offensive mastermind, and he worked us really hard. But I was still kind of getting in line with the intricacies of being a wide receiver and not just being an athlete. So a lot of that was the adjustment for me. being a bigger guy, broad shoulders, not tiny in the waist. So I had to learn what my what my skill set was, what my strengths were, as far as being a wide receiver. And going into that third year, I mean, it was a rough season overall for us because that previous year, we went to the playoffs. It was the last year at the old Soldier Field before they tore it down. We were playing in Champaign at University of Illinois, and it was a rough season, man. But we had to kind of fight through it. We had kind of a crowded receiver room. We had drafted David Terrell, and so we were kind of splitting snaps. So it was like, we were kind of splitting duties, and so I think it was adjustment period where I was finally starting to kind of come into my own a little bit. But I still think there was opportunities where I could have continued to improve from there.
Yeah. Before we move on to the Falcons, there was one play I saw a video online, and I don't know if you remember the play, but you guys were playing the Buccaneers, and you catch the ball, and then you just get absolutely leveled by Derrick Brooks, and you held on to the ball. You managed to hold on to it. What's going through your mind in a play like that, where you catch the ball and you just get absolutely smoked?
So that offense, we ran that play all the time. So everybody just sat back and waited for it. And we were getting crushed pretty much all. That's why I had all big wide receivers. All of us were over 200 pounds. I mean, we were used to running in there, smashing mouth with linebackers and safeties. And Derrick Brooks was not much bigger than me. I played at 215. He was like 220, 230, 225, 230. He wasn't the biggest linebacker. He was just a hard-nosed guy. And he peeled some paint off of my face mask with that hit. But I was fine though. I hopped right up. I knew it was coming because I could see him out of my peripheral vision. So I stopped and I reached for the ball, and then I kind of turned my head enough to see it coming, and then it was like crunch, and then I got up and I went back to the huddle, and everything was okay. But it looks bad on TV, but after you've gotten hit like that all season, because this was the last game, I think it was the last game of the year. You getting hit like that all season, you just kind of get used to
it. Yeah. Your concentration has to be just insane too in those moments, trying to hold on. You can see him coming, you got to hold on to the ball.
Yeah. So I was trying to slow down, and the quarterback was trying to lead me like I was gonna. So that route is one where if it's zone, you kind of stop and they throw you the ball so you can get upfield. If it's man, they throw it to you on the run so you can just keep running. And he threw it like I was going to keep running, and I stopped. So it was close enough where I could reach out and catch it, but I had stopped my momentum. So if I had been running full speed and he hit me, it'd been different. But I managed to get my body slowed down and just reach for the ball. So it was basically just him hitting me standing still. So it wasn't bad. I've definitely had worse.
Yeah. Well, that's just the one I saw, the one that's out there on YouTube or whatever. So after time with the Bears, you went to the Falcons. That's where you finished your career. But your quarterback was Michael Vick, obviously a great quarterback, great dual threat quarterback. So what was it like to have a guy like that throwing you the ball?
It was dynamic, man. The offense was exciting and frustrating at times, because we were so good at running the ball that, there's times where, essentially we went into a game and, they say before the game, Dez, Peerless, you guys might not get a ball thrown to you tomorrow, the night before the game. That doesn't get your juices flowing as a wide receiver, but, we had the number one rushing attack in the league, and, we were fully bought into helping our team win. And so it was the Michael Vick experience, and we had all the excitement, going on. We made it to the NFC Championship game. All of that was exciting. But at times it definitely could be frustrating.
It's very similar to kind of the Falcons now. They got Bijan, who's he's the big running back. They got some other running backs there. They have talent at wide receiver. Drake London's a amazing wide receiver, but he doesn't always get the ball. He's got some low numbered games, and they don't necessarily have that passing attack they're always using. It's just kind of similar, run the ball hard like you guys.
Yeah, I think they haven't established a real identity. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does this team do that you can't stop? Where you just line up and the defense is like, we absolutely have to stop this one thing. And I think they have not hung their hat on one particular thing, whether
Yeah.
that's game planning to make sure Drake is getting the ball consistently, putting him in motion, making sure that he gets, you know, 7 to 10, 12 targets a game, like ensuring that that happens, running picks, running screens, making sure he's featured, as the talent that he is. Same with Kyle Pitts. They got to go into these games sometimes and just feature those guys. It may be a sacrifice early, but it'll pay off down the line when Drake just had his big game this past week. You continue to do that, and then teams are going to start to key on them because they're going to realize that, hey, if we stop this guy, we have a better chance of beating them. And it's going to open up doors for other guys. So I think what they have to do is establish an identity and not trying to spread the wealth so much early. Find what you do best,
Yeah.
do that to where people can't stop it, refine it to where people can't stop it, and then build everything else off of that.
Yeah. You said he had his biggest game. He was on my bench in fantasy football. I
Oh
haven't
man,
been
you missed
playing him
out.
much. And then I lost by like 15 points. So if I would have played him, I definitely would have won.
Yeah.
Missed the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, you missed out.
Yeah. So what went into the decision for you to retire?
Man, at some point your body starts to my last year in Atlanta, I had a knee surgery, had some issues with a lot of issues with knee swelling, and it kind of hampered me throughout the season. And then in the off season, I tried, did some tryouts, but I was still having considerable knee pain, and ended up signing in Minnesota. I went to their camp. I showed up early, went to their rookie mini camp just so I could learn their offense. And man, my knee was it was really swollen, and so I ended up I got released from Minnesota, and then I came home and I decided to have another knee surgery and a follow up surgery on the same knee. It was arthroscopic, but I had a significant tear in the articular cartilage, and so came home, did that, and then my knee was just never the same. And being a wide receiver, trying to run and stop, you know, 50, 60, 70 times a game, just wasn't conducive, especially as a 200 pound guy. So you'll see guys that are bigger. Their fall is much more precipitous than smaller guys. You see Julio with recurring hamstring injuries and things like that. When you're a bigger guy, man, it happens fast because you got a lot more mass to move and a lot more mass to stop, especially with guys that are fast guys.
Yeah, harder to have longevity in the NFL as a bigger guy. I mean, with
For
that
sure.
stop, quick, all that stuff you were just
Yeah.
mentioning.
We,
And
you got to do
eventually,
the Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison used to catch the ball and immediately fall on the ground. Like
yeah,
he would get it and then he would just fall down. You could watch him. Like he would catch the
yeah,
ball, just fall on the ground. I give myself up every time.
yeah. Hey, you got to do what you can and protect your body.
That's right.
So, is there a game that sticks out in your memory, kind of like most memorable game looking back over your career?
Man, you know what? There's probably two. That last year of the old Soldier Field, we had two back-to-back weeks where we were getting mashed. I mean, we were getting beat down. The first one was against San Francisco. They were probably beating us like 34-10 or so. I mean, they were beating us bad. Like people were leaving. People left. Like the stadium was like probably 40% full. The score was so bad. And then like it was crazy. Like we started a 2-minute offense and then we just kept going down and scoring and we kept going down and scoring. And then next thing you know, uh, I think Shane Matthews threw a Hail Mary to like James Allen in the end zone, and we tied the game. And then I got an onside kick, and and then we went to overtime. And Jeff Garcia throws it to T.O. He throws a little bit low. T.O. bobbles the ball up in the air, and then Mike Brown catches it, runs it in for a touchdown. We win the game. It was the loudest I've heard the stadium, and there was only probably 40% capacity in there. Like it was crazy. It was crazy. And then
Yeah.
the following week, we had a similar situation against Cleveland where we were way behind, and then we did the same thing. We went in 2-minute mode. We came back, and then pretty sure that one went to overtime too. And then I don't remember if it was a fumble or interception. I think it was Mike Brown again. Went back for a touchdown, and we won that one too. And we were 13-3 that year, and went to the playoffs, lost to the Eagles. We had a bye in the playoffs. We went to the playoffs, lost to the Eagles in the second round. But that season was magical, man. And those two games kind of stand out because it was like we were dead to rights, and then we just clawed our way back in like 7 minutes. Like it was crazy. Like the game was almost over. People were going. You could see the people filing out of the stadium, and they just thought it was over. And those same people tell stories to this day how they were out walking down the street, going to their car, or whatever, and they could hear all the eruptions going on inside the stadium, and they couldn't get back in. Like it's too late now. You missed this game that's like, going down in Bears folklore.
Yeah, true fans always stay. You got to stay. I mean, never out of it really until the
Especially in
very
Chicago,
end.
man. Yeah, especially in
Yeah,
Chicago. They've had some bad years, man. Those people still go out there in their ponchos, sit in the miserable weather, and they'll still watch that team, man. They're
yeah,
diehard.
yeah. Hey, that's what the true fans do. That doesn't matter how bad the team is. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what the conditions, weather, especially in areas like Chicago. You get up north to Green Bay or some of those spots where there is horrible weather. There's always
Oh,
fans there.
yeah, for sure.
So is it hard to adjust to life after football? I mean, something you've done for your whole life up until that point. Now you got to do something different.
It is, man. When you've been doing sports for pretty much your whole life, and sports becomes an occupation or a career, it is definitely an adjustment just from the standpoint of now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life because most guys are out of the league, man. You're still in your 20s, so trying to figure out what to do. What am I going to do next? And I ended up going into doing personal training and boot camps and stuff, and so that's turned out to be really really good for me. Not only just from a business perspective, but for my health and my wellness, because a lot of guys, you realize after you're done how beat up you actually are because you're so young and your body heals pretty quickly. You don't realize how beat up you really are until you stop working out and you don't have the muscle mass to support your bones and structure anymore. It's definitely rough, and a lot of guys don't realize, the extent of the damage until they're well into their 30s and 40s, and now you're constantly going back and forth to the doctor to deal with this this injury that you incurred playing football, or whether it's brain trauma or CTE, going to get all the exams and the MRIs. That's the part of the sport that people don't see is life after the sport, where you have to deal with the repercussions of all the collisions.
I'm sure a lot of guys you mentioned, they stop working out. They probably stop working out because they don't have to anymore. Like as an athlete, you have to. You go to practice. You have to stay in peak physical shape. Now that you're out of it, there's nothing that is making sure that you do that every single day. So a lot of guys, it's probably pretty easy to fall away from that.
That's the
And
exact reason. Is because for high school, college, and definitely in the pros, you had all your workout scheduled for you. You had a guy there waiting for you to tell you what the workout was, so you knew exactly what you were supposed to do at all times. And so now you're on your own, and you got to go into a gym that's not filled with football players or a strength and conditioning coach, and you don't have a workout program made for you. So you can't go, those workouts that you did as a professional athlete aren't transferable to a regular gym. That's not what you're going to do. You're not training for, to tackle somebody or to get off the line of scrimmage. Those workouts are not even remotely similar. So going to work out like a normal person, most guys don't know how to do that, and they don't have somebody scheduling that for them, or making sure that they know what to do when they go. So most guys just don't go. And
yeah,
so what you end up having is, guys who are overweight or unhealthy because they've just been inactive since their playing days.
yeah. Do you enjoy being a personal trainer? I mean, are you happy
Oh, I
since
love it.
retirement doing that?
Oh, I love it. I love it because I'm a guy. I like to move around. I like to be active. And so most of the times I work out with my clients. So I don't work out by myself. And that's another thing. Like going to work out by yourself is miserable. Like you're used to working out with your teammates and having somebody to
Yeah.
talk to. Like working out by yourself, man, is boring. So I work out with my clients, and that keeps me, interested. That keeps my mind occupied, and it makes it where it's not a chore.
Yeah.
It's not boring at all. So working out with my groups of people that I train, it definitely helps keep me in shape. I feel good. My body feels better now than it did. When I was still trying to get on the roster.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. So I just want to get your opinion on two things before I let you go. And one of them is the transfer portal. It's always interesting to hear different people's opinions. I mean, most people who are fans, a lot of them have negative opinions about it. Other people, they love it. But I feel like the people who have negative opinions about it, they've never been on a team. They don't know what it's like and why a guy might want to transfer. So as a guy who played college football, I mean, what do you think about the whole transfer portal? What are your thoughts on it?
So I'm a strong proponent of guys getting paid. There's too many billions of dollars going around college football, and has been for a long time. And they were paying guys under the table. The money was still going around, there was lining somebody else's pockets. And meanwhile, these guys were on the field getting crushed. A lot of them won't get the opportunity to play professionally. Some with injuries that will last them the rest of their life from playing. So they definitely should be compensated for that. With that being said, the transfer portal, I don't like it. I don't like the way it is. I think there should be an opportunity for a young man to switch, or whatever sport, young women, whatever. I think that is something that should be available to them. I think right now it's just a free for all, and it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like you should not have 15, 20 people just up and leaving because they don't like it, every time. There has to be some level of commitment to something. Granted, it's a small window of time, but I think it's just a free for all now, and everybody, just the team looks totally different from one year to the next, more so than an NFL roster,
Mm-hmm.
or a professional sports roster. Like you have a totally different team from one year to the next. You see, like Colorado, for example. I know Dion came in and did a lot of things, but they like jettisoned, like the whole team was gone. Like it's a whole new like
Yeah.
you can recognize that team from one year to the next. And I think that's too much. I think that's too much, and it's taken away from the game. So I think there needs to be some more structure to it. I think there needs to be more commitment to it. Maybe the NIL, if they sign an NIL deal, they have to stay for 2 years or 3 years or something. Like if you sign for this money, like you should not be able to leave. I think that should be the caveat, because you're getting paid now. This is a job.
Yeah.
You're getting paid now. You're an employee. You are paid to stay here, and you should be under contract for that, and not able to leave and go chase dollars somewhere else, or just because you don't like the coach. Now that being said, there are some guys who get in, like I said, they romance you when you're getting recruited, and then you get there, and then maybe you don't fit their style or whatever, or coach. And a lot of guys lost their collegiate careers and possibly professional opportunities because they just picked the wrong school. So I definitely believe that they should have that opportunity to switch. But this is a madhouse. This right now, what I'm seeing is like, oh, I'm transferring here. Like everybody's transfer portal. Every day I'm seeing somebody, a team, 5, 6 guys going in the transfer portal, or this guy going in the transfer portal. And that's just, the college coaches are overwhelmed as it is. So you go out and you spend most of the year recruiting, even during the season. Off season, you're traveling all over the country trying to go and get guys, convince them to come to the school, and then they could be gone the next year. So you got to spend the whole time trying to convince them to stay at the school. That's not fair to the coaches, to me.
Yeah.
So something needs to change. I don't think this is sustainable. I think they need to do something to change it.
Yeah, it's absolute chaos. I mean, you look at the first day of the portal, there were like almost 2,000 guys that entered the portal. It was some insane number, more than there were last year, and it's just going to keep getting worse. I agree with you on the NIL thing too. If you commit to that money, you should commit to that school.
Yeah.
I think there should be some sort of rule where guys can't transfer as much as they want. I mean, look at some of these guys they play at a different school each year. I mean, they transfer 3 or 4 times.
Go keep choosing schools, man.
I mean, there maybe guys can transfer
Yeah.
once or twice and use that up, and now you've got to stay.
Right.
Maybe guys would think more strongly on their decisions on where they're going.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it takes away from bowl games. You look at a lot of these bowl games that are coming up. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
who's playing in them? Ohio
That's a
State.
good question. Yeah.
Who's going to play for Ohio State? Their starting quarterback's gone. They're a bunch of their wide receivers transferred, and you got Marvin who's going up for the draft. So what's it going to look like? Yeah, I mean, I think
I didn't know they transferred before the bowl game, so they were already gone already.
a lot of the guys, once they hit the portal, that's it. They're not gonna
Oh my
they're not
goodness.
gonna play because I'm a big Notre Dame fan, and they had a whole bunch of wide receivers enter the portal, and somebody was like, "Well, who are we gonna throw to?"
line up the punter out there. Hey, we're gonna throw you
yeah. But I completely agree with you. I think it's chaos, and I'm sure there are guys who enter the portal and they're just trying to look for a different opportunity because maybe their coach doesn't like them or something. And I get that.
Yeah.
But the guys who you just got your NIL money, now you're going to go somewhere else and get some more. Then you're going to go somewhere else and get some more. Like,
right.
Yeah, I agree. You should be committed to the school that is willing to pay you. Now you work for them basically, like you said.
And they should have that window be smaller and like firmly in the off season. You know what I'm saying? Not during the season, not during bowl season. Like you're stuck where you're at until March. You know what I'm saying? Like when NFL starts, no tampering, no, none of this stuff. You're firmly stuck where you are until March because that's time enough to, get to wherever you're going, maybe February to get to where you're going for spring football. Get acclimated to wherever your new place that you're at. Get ready for spring football. But transferring now, like you're leaving your team and they're going to a bowl game, like that's absurd, man. That's not even the whole season.
Yeah. And then don't quote me on that. I want somebody to come out there and fact check me and be like, no, there's guys playing, but I'm pretty sure a lot of those guys, once they enter the portal, and I guess from their perspective, like you're leaving, you said you're leaving. I know your teammates probably aren't too happy, so why would you stick around? I mean, there's both sides to the story once you're leaving.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they should be allowed to leave that soon.
Yeah, that's why it should be completely closed and open maybe the first couple months of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe like January 15th after the national championship game to like March 15th. And then you got this window. So you don't have to worry about people causing a ruckus or dividing the team during the season. Like that's not cool. That's not cool at all. And it's going to take away from the sport in general, take away from every team because you're going to have guys that come in, they're me guys. Every team has those guys. Me. I deserve to be, higher up on the totem pole than I am. And they're not going to want to work for it. And so they're going to keep transferring because they believe that they're better than they are instead of going out on the field and proving it. And every team, every place is going to have some guy who thought he was the junk in high school and then he got to college and didn't pan out the way he wants. And so he's going to want to leave. And that's just not the way it should go, man. Like you should be stuck there. If you take take $1 NIL, 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that shouldn't be too much to ask. I mean, I feel like that's a reasonable rule that they should be able to implement. But hopefully they figure out something soon because, like you said, it's just a madhouse. It's chaos. And it's not fun for the fans either. Like, I'm sure it's horrible for the coaches and the guys who have to deal with it. But it's not fun for the fans either because you're like, oh, there goes half of our team. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do next year? Hopefully that we can bring in a bunch of guys. I mean, it's just like a cycle. In, out, revolving door.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is, for sure.
Crazy. The one other thing I was curious on, it's the other thing that there was a big brouhaha in college football, and that's the playoff. A lot of people angry that Florida State got left out, being undefeated ACC champ. I know you're an ACC guy. Yeah. So what was your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think they should have been in over Bama, or do you think the committee got it right?
So here's the thing, man. My heart was broken for those guys at Florida State because you put your heart and soul into that thing, man, and college football is different, man. It's emotions. Now it's been watered down by money now, but it's all I'm playing for my guys and we're playing our hearts out. And my heart's broken for those guys to miss out on the playoff. However, going back to, football and sports in general being an entertainment industry, all right, they're about the entertainment and views, and sending FSU to the national championship, especially after what happened to TCU last year, sending them down there with no quarterback. And I watched that FSU play that ACC championship game against Louisville. That was painful to watch. Now I'm an offensive guy, so I like to see offense, but goodness gracious, that was oh man, that was hard to watch, man. Did that kid pass for like 55 yards or something? Like I could, like I don't want to watch that for the national championship. You know what I'm saying? Like my heart is
Yeah.
broken for those guys, man. But I get it. I can see why they did it. You can't convince me that there's 4 teams in the country that are better than UGA, and I say that as a Tech guy. There's not 4 teams in the country that are better than UGA. And you know, I want them to lose, but I want them to lose fair and square. I want, I want them to go there and lose. I don't want them to get voted out. So now their fans have an excuse. I want them to go and lose at the championship game. But you know, it's unfortunate, but I think, you know, the 12-team playoff can't get here soon enough.
Yep.
However, who's going to be playing in the 12-team playoff if everybody if everybody transfer portals their way out of the school? So
Yeah.
the teams may look entirely different. It may be a bunch of Florida States without their quarterback. Their quarterback may be unhappy. You didn't throw the ball 60% of the time, so I'm transferring to a school that's going to throw the ball 65% of the time. And now I don't have a quarterback for the national championship series. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I think they do have a justification because you couldn't get guys that were going to play pro to go play all these extra games for a national championship without being paid. So I think they timed that up well. So now you're getting paid, so you should be able to go play these extra games. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So my heart is broken for those guys, but you know, in my opinion, it should have been just pick the 4 best teams. And you know, to me, that's going to be Alabama and Georgia. Um, Anybody else, man, is I don't know if it matters. Michigan, okay. The SEC won all the national championship, most of them for like the last 20, 23 years, man. So I don't know if it really matters outside of the SEC most of the time. It really just doesn't. So you put Michigan in there, you know, winner of Michigan, Ohio State, they have a valid claim. And then West Coast teams, man, they haven't really shown well in the national championship since like USC. So I don't think they have the same level of talent. I think the Penix guy is exciting, and so you know I'm hoping it's an exciting game. But to me, I believe that Michigan and Alabama is the national championship game in the semifinal.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying. And hopefully the 12-team playoff will keep guys around. Maybe they won't transfer because they're playing for something. I mean, everyone's gonna have a 1 in 12 shot at a national championship
Nah,
when that all starts.
they don't care. I assure you, those guys don't care about that. They just don't care. They don't care. Now, I
Yeah.
would like to see Nick Saban if he goes and beats Texas, and you know if it's Alabama and Texas in the final, he's going to run up the score just to make sure everybody knows that everybody knows that first game, the other game was a fluke, and that they deserved the national championship. He's going to run up the score. I guarantee it. So
Yeah.
that's not going to keep those guys around to get a chance to play for a national championship. Not going to happen.
Yeah. That's just us fans that like that.
That's it, man. There's no loyalty. These bros ain't loyal.
Yeah. Well, what was it? Dion said something about he said something like these guys aren't loyal to their girlfriends. You expect them to be loyal to their schools or something. He said that in one of his team meetings.
I didn't hear that, but that's hilarious.
Yeah.
It sounds like something
Hey.
Dion would say.
Yeah. No, I like Coach Prime. He says what he wants,
Yeah, he does.
and
He tells it like it is.
it is, and there needs to be more people like that because you got to speak your mind, and
Sure.
I like that he does. Yeah, I mean, for a fan's perspective, I'm excited for the 12-team playoff, but like you said, I mean, clearly the New Year's Six Bowls used to mean a lot.
They
It was a
did.
big deal, and
They did.
now clearly they don't because guys are
Yeah.
transferring. God, it doesn't matter.
They're gonna have to do
So,
something about the transfer portal window. They're gonna have to do something, or it's gonna destroy the integrity of the game and the excitement around the game. If you're showing up to this New Year's, big time bowl game, and you got like all your best players are missing for because they transferred to somewhere else. Your team looks totally different, and you get these big blowouts, and the games aren't close. So some other guys get to play, which is a good thing, but still that's not what the fans expect, and ultimately it boils down to the fans' interest. And so if you're not keeping the fans' interest, you don't have a product anymore, so they'll have to
yep.
do something to change that.
Yeah, people aren't going to want to buy expensive tickets to go watch a couple of third string quarterbacks duel it out.
Exactly.
Great for those guys, but that's not what people want to see.
Nah, nope.
All right. Well, Des, thanks for hopping on the pod. I really enjoyed talking to you about your career and getting your opinion on stuff. It was a great time.
I appreciate it, man. No problem.